quiet down and lend me your ear.
Hi and welcome as always to another I Love Indies video. Up first this week we've got A Juggler's Tale, a puzzle platformer reminiscent of Playdead's Limbo and Inside. You play as Abby, a marionette juggler held captive at a circus. After escaping the ringmaster, you set out on a fourth wall breaking quest for freedom that plays out like a cross between Pinocchio and The Truman Show. Presented in the form of a children's pop-up book, the story is told through poetic rhyming couplets voiced by the puppet master Jack, who appears to cheer on Abby's newfound freedom at the start of the game, although all may not be as it seems. Abby's adventures take her through woods, battlefields and stormy waters, with plenty of surprises along the way. Everything looks beautiful, character animations are super smooth, and your puppet strings make for some very inventive physics-based puzzles. It's an audio-visual extravaganza where you're watching and playing Abby's story at the same time. In my opinion, A Juggler's Tale is a cathartic experience packing an emotional punch. It's a tale of hope and empowerment that will stay with you long after the credits have rolled. It's out now on PC and all major consoles.
In 1972, a crack commando unit threw me in a prison for a crime I didn't commit.
You're under arrest for a crime you didn't commit!
Being a long-time fan of Metal Gear Solid, I've had my eye on Unmetal for quite a while. A superb parody of Hideo Kojima's iconic series, featuring a retro pixel art aesthetic aimed at imitating the very first MSX NES games. It's got a tongue-in-cheek story with plenty of cultural references. This is tactical espionage action, but not as you know it.
I need to pee.
Unmetal features a script filled with irony, satire and sardonic humour, and it is just so well written, with solid voice acting and genuine laugh-out-loud moments. There's a fine line between class and cringe, but the developers get it spot on here. Instead of a snake, you play as a fox, Jesse Fox to be precise, and are tasked with breaking out of a prison cell at the start of the game. You know you're in for something a bit different when you write a fake suicide note and one-ply unscented toilet paper using a metal wire and your own blood to escape. There are so many little nods to the Metal Gear games. Fox gets his own colonel to talk to via walkie-talkie. You can distract guards by throwing coins, hug walls as you wait to ambush them, and then hide the bodies once you've knocked them out. There's plenty of boss fights, all given a dramatic introduction and often underwhelming names, like Grenade Guy, who throws, would you believe it, grenades. Conventional weapons are not always available, so improvisation is required. A particular favourite includes using an antique globe to neutralise one early boss. For me, Unmetal is a breath of indie fresh air. It feels familiar but is so creative, often so subversive, you just can't predict what will come next. It obviously caters for fans of the Metal Gear series, but really it's for anyone who likes games that don't take themselves too seriously. Unmetal's out now on PC and all major consoles.
Why did you break the toilet? Why not grab the paper like a normal person? You know how prison is. It's kill or be killed. And I wasn't going to be killed by some dirty toilet.
INDUSTRIA is a narrative-driven dystopian adventure that's part walking simulator, part first-person shooter. It wears its influences on its sleeve with an opening similar to Half-Life 2 and an alternate world much like Columbia of Bioshock Infinite. When a partner disappears during an experiment, Nora, the protagonist of the game, goes out looking for him and ends up in a futuristic Germany, where a rogue AI called Atlas has destroyed much of the country and robots roam the streets. At times, it's hard to believe only 2 people made the game, as INDUSTRIA really feels like a AAA title, albeit without some of the polish a large dev team brings. The script is convincing, voice acting is top notch, particularly from Brent, your contact in the other world, and the story is definitely one you'll want to see through to the end. What starts off as a tense survival horror experience with dark corridors and only a pickaxe to defend yourself becomes a more traditional shooter in the latter levels when you add a shotgun, rifle and machine gun to your arsenal. Enemies are well designed, but are a little lacking in variety. Nonetheless, combat is pretty satisfying. INDUSTRIA is a short game, around 4 hours, but definitely one worth playing to scratch that Bioshock or Half-Life itch. Check out The World of Tomorrow now on PC via Steam. Steel Assault is a wonderful homage to 90s coin-ups. You play as Taro Takahashi, a resistance soldier on a revenge mission against a dictator who rules a post-apocalyptic America. It's a gorgeous pixel art platformer modelled on classic side-scrollers such as Contra and Metal Slug, although instead of using guns, your primary weapon here is a cool electric whip. Fire out zip lines to bound around levels, face off against giant mech bosses, and also ride trains, planes and automobiles across the 5 vibrant chapters. It's a short but super tough experience, especially on the single credit arcade mode. Tribute games really nail the retro experience with classic CRT scanlines, 4:3 aspect ratio and a chiptune soundtrack. Steel Assault is out now on PC and also the Nintendo Switch. There's a whole host of other great indies released this week that deserve a look. If you fancy a puzzler with a lovely voxel aesthetic, give Bonfire Peaks a try. This one's played from an isometric perspective and features single screen levels, each requiring you to get a crate of rubbish to a bonfire. Doing so often seems simple enough, but looks can be deceiving. Bonfire Peaks is perfect for short bursts, with multiple puzzles accessible at once in case you get stumped. It's out now on PC, Nintendo Switch, the PS4 and also the PS5. DAP is a strange hybrid of genres. It's part Pikmin-esque puzzler, part survival horror, and part action-adventure with melee combat and twin-stick shooter elements. Navigate a series of followers called DAPs through perilous levels, band together to solve puzzles and fight off hellish threats. The more DAPs you gather, the stronger the pack becomes, but beware, DAPs are not immune to infection. Linger too long in the wrong place and the pack will turn on itself with some horrific consequences. Scavenge, craft, build fires and fight off the evil horde now in this beautifully eerie pixel art gem. It's available on PC via Steam. Fans of classic arcade coin-ups will be first in line to play Centipede Recharged, a reimagining of the iconic 1981 Atari shoot-'em-up. This new iteration features vibrant visuals reminiscent of the Geometry Wars games, but the core gameplay mechanics remain intact and are as addictive as ever. After 8 long years in production, NYKRA finally got a release this week. What we have here is a short narrative platformer with puzzle and RPG mechanics set in an ever-collapsing reality. You play as Kyu, hope I'm pronouncing that right, and travel through 7 different planets, unravelling the complex mess of reality ahead of you. But as you read through alien literature, discover archaic long-lost ruins, and delve into unfamiliar languages of the galaxy, you start to realise the dark virus people fear might not be what you expect. It's compelling stuff, features esoteric mysteries Fez fans will enjoy, and a vibrant pixel art style. Check it out now on the PC via Steam. Tres Bashers is one of the strangest Metroidvanias I've played this year, but it's also one of the most original and unique. You play as a rat equipped with a baseball bat and a torch. The 40 or so monster types in the game hide in the shadows. Flash your torch to reveal them and then whack them with your bat. It's really satisfying stuff. There's plenty of customisable options, including different outfits and weapons, and in typical Metroidvania fashion, you get new abilities such as a wall jump, backflip, and the obligatory double jump to access new areas. All of this is wrapped up in a gorgeous pixel art aesthetic and a 4:9 aspect ratio to imitate the old Game Boy Color games. Go monster bashing in Tres Bashers now on the PC via Steam. To round things off this week, I wanted to draw your attention to the Castlevania Advance Collection, a game shadow drop for Nintendo Switch and PC last week during the Nintendo Direct. Now, I know this is not technically indie, the 3 Game Boy Advance games, when originally released, were deemed AAA, but a decade later they align well with the plethora of pixel art platformers and Metroidvanias dominating the indie scene. For a mere £16 or $20 you get 4 classic Castlevania games, and 3 of the best the series has to offer. It's hard to pick a favourite, but if I had to, I'd go for Aria of Sorrow, and it's surprising how well it holds up almost 20 years after release. Circle of the Moon and Harmony of Despair are top-notch adventures too, the former being the first Castlevania to be released on the Game Boy Advance, and a game I remember getting with the handheld at launch. Each of the games will take a minimum of 8 to 10 hours to complete, so we're looking at 30 plus hours of gameplay with the 4th featured game, Dracula X, a shorter, more linear affair, but a definite fan favourite from the SNES era. This is not a remastered collection, although there are some reissue quality of life features, such as being able to save at any time and rewinding the game. There's also the option to play ROMs from different regions, along with a gallery and music player. For any Castlevania or Metroidvania fan, this really is an essential purchase. It's available on the PC and the Nintendo Switch now. To keep up to date with all things indie gaming, please subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon to get notifications so you never miss a video. Feel free to comment below on which of the featured indies most interest you, and also don't forget to click the like button if you enjoy the video, as it all helps feed the YouTube algorithm. Until the next video guys, keep loving indies.